All right, I'm joined now by the Ambassador Majed Bamia, the Deputy Permanent Observer of the State of Palestine at the United Nations. Ambassador, it's good to see you again. Thank you for joining us. We were planning on talking to you this morning. I didn't know that we'd be planning to talk to you about a visit by Secretary Blinken to Mahmoud Abbas. He did say to Mahmoud Abbas, he said, or in the readout, it said that Secretary Blinken reiterated that the United States remains committed to advancing equal measures of dignity and security for Palestinians and Israelis alike. The secretary also expressed the commitment of the United States to working toward the realization of the Palestinians' legitimate aspirations for the establishment of a Palestinian state, end quote. Now, there are a lot of words in there, but what do you read that to mean?
So the most important to be able to do any of this is to stop the assault. This is not a war by Israel against Hamas. This is a war by Israel against the Palestinian people. We're seeing it in Gaza with these bombings that have killed 10,000, including around 5,000 children now. We're seeing it in the West Bank with the settlers attack and attacks by the Israeli occupation forces. So the U.S. is saying, you should respect the laws of war of Israel. You should stop the colonization. You should protect the civilians. You should allow humanitarian aid in and stop the siege. And they're not listening to you. So they're more than willing to take your money. They're more than willing to take your weapons, but they're not ready to heed your advice. And they're coming on TV shows to tell you we're respecting the laws of war. All these war crimes you see on TV, no, this is not the reality. The reality is this is what international law says. So the only way to stop war crimes is to stop the war. And the US has to arrive to that conclusion. The only way to preserve any chance for tomorrow is to stop this assault. And we're making every effort not to come shouting and screaming on TV screens because they're saying there's a civilized world and these are the barbaric people. And they are the ones bombing thousands of civilians, UN shelters, schools, hospitals, ambulances, but they're the civilized world.
We will likely, by the end of today, see 10,000 deaths in Gaza. Is there some sense that this visit by the secretary to President Abbas and a shift in world opinion on this is going to have some impact on this? Or is it your sense that Israel remains firm? Because every time Israel is asked, they say this will continue until Hamas is obliterated. And if there's collateral damage, which means the death of civilians in the process, that's the way it goes.
Everyone has to hold them accountable. You can't have a country claim every right and renege every obligation. And this has been happening for 75 years. Again, you've been telling them that if they don't address the Palestinian issue, then the worst might happen, that violence is inevitable, the violence that the Palestinians have been bearing for decades. That will also have an impact on Israelis. But they were not listening. And again, they're not listening. They don't care. They see millions in the streets. They see countries, even their closest allies, criticizing them. They see the UN, and they are the ones giving lessons to the world instead of listening to the lessons of history and to the world. Somebody needs to put an end to it. Somebody needs, enough is enough. When the foreign minister of Jordan says this is entrenching hatred for a decade, this is an entire Palestinian generation that is under the bombs and under the attacks, and the whole world is watching. And in the Middle East and beyond, this is entrenching hatred. And we've been fighting hatred for so long. We've been trying to find a peaceful way to end this conflict. Why are they determined to prove us wrong, to demonstrate there is no peaceful way? What then is the alternative? We keep killing each other till when? So it is time to say enough is enough. That is not the way. Israel is not fighting against Hamas. Israel is not going to accomplish any of its objectives. Israel is not trying to release the people held captive. It's bombing everywhere. This can be done by mediation. This can be done by political tools. This can be done by showing that peace is possible. This is how you convince people that there's another way that is possible. But if they disregard Palestinian lives, if they contest even that we belong to the human family, if they come and call us human animals on TV sets, if they tell you it's not relevant how many civilians are killed under the bombs if they are Palestinians, and you continue the same message that Israel has a right to self-defense, that Israel has to continue the war, but with a bit of a different means, maybe in a nicer way, that is not audible. And that is against US interests. Not only against Israeli people's interests, this is against US interests. So this is a time for clarity. Ambiguity will not be enough. Saying the right things about protection of civilians, the Palestinian state, equal measures of freedom, and security and peace is not enough. You stop this war, and then we act for peace.
Let's talk about the conversation that occurred this morning again between Mahmoud Abbas and Secretary Blinken about the Palestinian Authority and the claim that the Palestinian Authority makes that they are the sole legitimate government of the Palestinian people. That, of course, means that in your view, Hamas is not. That's a complicating factor. Tell me about that. Does that mean that on the day after, as Israelis describe it, the day after they are satisfied that Hamas has been defenestrated, that the Palestinian Authority is suggesting that it is in a position to take over the governance of Gaza?
The first, the second, and the third message that the Secretary of State Blinken heard from the Palestinian side and from the Arab side is stop the assault, stop the assault, stop the assault. This is the main message. You can't do anything while people are, we have 2,000 people under the rubble. We can't even bury or save the ones that we can. So this is not a time to imagine a scenario that cannot happen if you don't start by saving what can be saved, which is people's lives. And then we need, of course, a political process, because all of this comes from the absence of political prospect of an end of occupation and of freedom for the Palestinian people. And in that context, we are saying in the context of a political process, of course, we have sovereignty over all of the Palestinian territory. But again, imagine the images that Palestinians and the whole world are watching now. You have two sets of images. You have the images of Palestinians under the rubble, bombed in every place they go. Nowhere is safe in Gaza. And you have images of Hamas militants standing up to Israeli tanks from zero distance. Are you sure that these images are the kind of image that will produce the outcome you are talking about? That these are the images that will demonstrate that Israel is the peace-loving country that it says it is going to be? And again, I'm hearing all the political spectrum in Israel. We are very clear about not killing civilians, about peace, about the two-state solution in line with UN resolution. You have the opposition and the governing party. They tell you, they come on TV, well, even those who say we are for a two-state solution, but there are no colonies. We have the right to build in Judea and Samaria, what they call the West Bank, the occupied West Bank. We have the right to keep all of Jerusalem. You tell me, what is this two-state solution? What is the map of that? And
so let me ask you about this. You're talking about the Israelis who come on TV. In an hour, we're going to have Naftali Bennett, the former Prime Minister of Israel, on this show. He's probably in the building now. He may well be watching this. What would you say to him?
You know, the war criminal you will receive, you'll ask him what he thinks of a Palestinian state and where that would be. You'll ask him if he considers that settlements are illegal. You'll ask him what he thinks of the map that Netanyahu held in the UN, with Gaza, the West Bank, and East Jerusalem, all part of Israel, and the Syrian Golan with them. So you need the same courage that is asked from the Palestinian leadership to proclaim it is for international law, to proclaim it is against killing of civilians, Palestinian, Israeli civilians, all of them, to proclaim that it is for the two-state solution in line with UN resolution, to recognize Israel. You would consider, if we don't do these things, that we're an unacceptable party to talk to, and you consider them your ally. So why is your ally allowed to kill civilians, allowed to colonize, allowed to say it doesn't accept the Palestinian state, and allowed to destroy it? They keep speaking of the destruction of Israel. The only country that is being destroyed is Palestine, effectively destroyed every day. So again, you've seen me a few days ago. We are trying to keep our calm. We are trying to remain visionaries, to be brave about peace. Every day that passes, you are making us less audible. You're making this harder. You're making this more impossible. It needs to stop now. Civilian lives are sacred. Palestinian civilian lives are also sacred. And if you can justify killing Palestinian civilians, you'll find people to justify killing Israeli civilians. If you can justify hatred towards Palestinians, you'll find people to justify hatred towards the Israelis. We're trying to chart a different path. And in the meeting with Blinken, that the Palestinian leadership and the Arab leadership has told him exactly the same message. All of those who know the Middle East know what this means for generations to come. So you can't stand by Israel in a war against the Palestinian people. That you cannot do, and this war is against the Palestinians.
Ambassador, as always, thank you for your time. We appreciate you being with us this morning. Ambassador Majed Bamia is the Deputy Permanent Observer of the State of Palestine to the United States.